Well, hello.
Hello.
I'm Ginger.
I'm Dee. And this is Chattin with CHAP.
And it's
that's
like
new.
humid hair day.
It is. But
like
what's going on?
I don't know. We have a picture-in-picture going on here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, it's like a delayed. Maybe it's what everybody else is seeing. So this is what we're seeing, and that's what you're seeing.
We've never seen it before.
Fun technology
I did
changes.
update my Facebook.
Every single week there's something new that we don't understand.
Anyway, today we're talking about helping kids build independence. Yes. It's so important. I mean, academics are important, but it's not really the focus of what you want for your children. I mean, it's character, it's building independence, it's things like that are important. So what are some ways we can do that, Ginger?
So, well, one of the first things you can really do to teach independence with your kids is give them some responsibility, give them some chores, and like you can do this at any age. I have this fabulous chart, again, backwards, but it says age-appropriate chores for children, and I had no idea. I think my friend Kim gave me, this says copyright 2013, www.flandersfamily.info. So it's probably out there, but they're just like different age groups here, and we're going to give you a few samples from each age group of chores that you can give your kids to give them that independence. They can do the chore on their own. It's not like mom follows you around and makes sure you're doing the chore. You say, okay, do this, and they go off and do it. So at ages 2 and 3, I mean, basic stuff, put your toy away, put your book on the shelf, put your dirty clothes in the hamper.
Yeah. Throw your trash out. Yeah. Then 4 to 5, they can feed pets, wipe up spills. Once again, continue putting away their toys that they get out. Yes.
Yeah, so it's good
Start
stuff.
teaching them the skill of making their bed, even if it doesn't, I think part of the reason moms hesitate on having their kids do a lot of things is because the kids don't do it the way that we do it.
Yeah. You have to let that go.
Yeah. So it's just, teach them making the bed. Will it look like you've made it? No, it won't.
No.
But you have to let that go because that's how they learn. And if you constantly criticize them on the way that they're doing that, that hurts them and that discourages them, and they back off and they don't want to be independent because you've criticized them. So sometimes we just have to be like, okay, good job, or let me help you, and let me come alongside you and help you, and then they'll learn to do it. But
so I have my kids of all ages doing chores, and they don't do it the way I would do it. And every once in a while I do the chores because I kind of miss it, which is weird. But but it is important to encourage them and thank them for what they're doing.
Yes.
And every once in a while I will say, hey, you know what? It would be good if you would maybe do this or do this a little better, or whatever. But anyway,
I'm embarrassed to say that I am down to one here that's not an adult, and a few more living here, but one that's not an adult. Things are pretty easy for him because my kids point it out all the time. It just is what it is. So.
Okay,
I'm not advocating for that. I'm not suggesting
that
you do this.
Okay, so around ages 6 to 7, kids can gather trash, they can fold towels, dust, mop the floors, empty the dishwasher. Now, I will say at age 4, I start having my kids fold their laundry. Yes, at age 4. And at 6 and 7, they're definitely doing their own laundry.
Right, which this says 8 to 9, but somewhere between that 6, 8, 9, I don't know, somewhere in there.
You can do it.
I taught my children to do laundry. Funny story, I may have told this, I don't know, on Chat before, but my son left here and moved to Brooklyn, New York, and he had a friend who was YouTubing how to use a washing machine because he had never done any laundry, moved up to Brooklyn, and had to Google how to use the washing machine at the laundromat.
And there's a YouTube on that.
And my son was like, Mom, we used to think it was crazy how I was just on them to teach them to do all these skills. He said, but he literally had to YouTube how to use a washing machine.
And that day, her son went, Mom's the best.
That's right, because there's no having to YouTube it. He had been doing it since he had been 9.
Brilliant.
So, so it's, it's good for them. They're not always going to be in your home. And so you're gonna have, I mean, you're doing them a disservice because they will have to YouTube it.
And her son was independent and didn't need YouTube to teach him how to do his laundry.
So it's good for them. Yeah. So loading the dishwasher. learning to do small tasks like changing a light bulb or things like that.
They even have baked cookies on here for 8 and 9-year-olds. Now my 13-year-olds, 11-year-olds, they're definitely baking. I don't know if I'd have my 8-year-old baking cookies.
Alongside
maybe with
me.
my help.
Yeah, alongside me.
Definitely not
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but then it goes on, age 10 to 11, preparing simple meals. I mean, that's the other thing. I am not the greatest cook, but teaching them basics so that they can scramble an egg. I also know moms who don't want their children using the stove, and they're going to have to use the stove. And yeah, so teach them that safety, and but teach them some basics so they can feed themselves, you know?
Yeah,
So.
mowing's a good one because everyone's gonna have to do it unless you have an HOA or whatever those things are called.
Then as you get older, this says 12 and up, paint walls. Maybe help me paint. Not
Maybe the toy shed.
I don't know. That's a little. I don't know.
Wash windows is a good one.
Yeah, iron clothes.
Iron
We don't. I
clothes.
just if they wear it wrinkly, that's their thing. I don't worry about it.
Watch younger siblings, definitely
Yes.
12 and up. So that's a big thing. These are great things to teach kids independence and how to be responsible. Because honestly, we have a friend who says, "I'm not raising children. I'm raising adults." Brilliant. You are raising. You don't
That's
want
right.
to raise a person who's perpetually a child.
Right.
You want them to be independent thinking and
Right.
and
Yeah. So age appropriate chores. Let your children do chores. Have some sort of system in play. I always use the Chorganizer. You can Google that Chorganizer, and everybody had a little strip, and there were cards. And by a certain time, those cards had to be moved down, and that they've done it, or they couldn't go out like to play. When school was over, the chores had to be done before they could go do something else, and they just hung on the side of our refrigerator. I always like the Chorganizer, but there's lots of different systems, methods, or no system whatsoever. Just letting them know these are your chores.
Yeah,
that works
get it
also.
done.
Yeah.
I can tell that you haven't done your chore.
Yeah. Secondly, don't coddle your kids, or constantly bail them out of difficult situations, because life is about figuring out hard situations.
It really is.
And so you do them once again a disservice. They get to college, or they move out and they're working, or whatever. A difficult situation comes along, they don't know how to handle it because you've never allowed them
to figure it out. And like my husband works at a college. They have parents that call in and say, "My kid doesn't have good internet," or "My kid this," or blah, 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 or "Your college stinks," or whatever. And it's just like, why are you calling in?
Right.
You have a college-aged young adult coming to our college. That the kids should be dealing with it. They should be figuring out which office they need to go to, which phone call they need to make. The information's all there. And when your kid's at home and learning these things, it's hard. It's hard. It's really painful. I just told a friend who's a few years behind me in her oldest is like 13. Okay, so my oldest is 18. I was like, it's really hard when your kids get older. You got to sit there and watch them fail. And you can say, okay, do this and do this and do this as instructions. It's your good ideas. And then them being young adults or whatever, they make their own choices. And sometimes it's not going to be the right choice. So, but that's teaching them independence and then dealing with the results of the consequences of their choices. So sometimes it's really hard to say that.
It is, and it's tempting to bail them out because we don't want them to feel pain or have a difficult situation. But like I said, being an adult is about learning how to handle
I think
those things.
And it starts young though too, because if I think that a lot of times, if my kids trip and fall or whatever, oh, you're okay, brush it off, get up, acknowledge it. But I think oh, my poor baby, let's whatever. And just like over exaggerating it is I don't know. I think that is adding to the dependence issue. So
It sure is.
just
Yeah.
that.
And then you can help them become independent even in their academics.
Yeah.
So start out having them do copy work on their own without
you sitting there watching.
like over top of them.
Yeah.
The goal is to not be a helicopter parent because you want them to learn to do things on their own.
So obviously you don't do this. I mean, if the kids are just learning to form their letters or just learning to read, obviously you don't say, here's the book, and expect them to know how to do it. You have to, as a parent, you make that judgment call.
Right.
Okay, at this point, try this on your own. And some of them will want to do it on their own and can't or shouldn't. And some won't want to step out on their own and just say, no, you're okay. You go give this a try. Go give this a shot. Go give this a try. So it's a mix, and you have to make that judgment call.
So copy work, handwriting, then maybe that leads into, okay, why don't you try to do your math sheet on your own?
Yeah.
And reading with comprehension questions, once they're reading well, I mean, you don't, a kid who's learning and struggling to read, you don't want to just say, here's your book,
Here,
go.
figure it out. No,
That's
not so good.
Yeah.
But a good way to gauge if they're getting their reading when they're doing it on their own is to ask comprehension questions. And there's like Sunlight offers that. So that's kind of what I use. Okay, so if they can't answer them at all, either they're not thinking about what they're reading, which I fall into. I can read and not have any clue what I read because I'm not thinking about what I'm reading. I'm just reading words. Or they're having a hard time even comprehending what they're reading because they're thinking so hard about forming the sounds.
Words,
So,
So, bit by bit, they do more alone, and maybe then you want to reward them. I mean, you don't have to reward them. And, we were talking about this earlier, too, with chores. Some people give an allowance. Some people say, hey, you're a part of this family. We all work together, But sometimes building in a reward is helpful. Even if you don't give an allowance, maybe there's just a large job that they could earn some money. Or, because you want them to learn to be independent financially, too.
Yes.
And so if they want something, learning to save and, those types of things. So
being independent goes with being responsible.
Yeah.
Like there's so many kids who want to be independent and do whatever they want to do, but they're not responsible. And so teaching the two together is awesome. I mean, that's what you want to do. You want to raise responsible adults who can be independent. So, show that you're responsible getting your chore done without me reminding you 20 times. And as that happens, then maybe you reward them with something, I don't know, something, or give them some freedom. Or
and if it's not giving something, the praise. I mean, just not forgetting to praise. Yeah.
The praise is a big, acknowledging, wow, you did a great job doing that. I'm really proud of you. That sort of thing goes a long way. Because I think, I know, in our society, we hear so much more, well, you didn't do this, and you didn't do this, and this could be better, and this could be way more than you hear, wow, that was really great, and good effort. And, if they really try hard, but maybe don't get it right, that's important.
Right.
Trying is important.
Sure
and
is.
I tell my kids a lot, they get frustrated because it's not perfect, or they don't get the right answers, and I'm like, you know what, you tried.
Right.
You tried really hard. I would be upset if you sat there and said, well, I'm not even going to try.
Right.
And I'd much rather have you try.
Yeah. And you know what? Reward or praise, even character things like making good choices or seeing them serve. It's not just chore based or, you did this, good job. But even just in their character, when you see them doing things like making good choices and serving.
Or if they did something kind for a sibling. Or like one of my daughters the other day, they have a sitter that they go to every once in a while, and it's going to be her birthday. So she made her this huge birthday card, and they make cookies at her house a lot. So it had a plate with cookies on it, and it was so cute. And I didn't say, hey, why don't you make a birthday card for such and such? It was totally out of her heart. So that's the kind of stuff you're like, oh, wow, look what you did. This is amazing. Because you thought about it all by yourself.
Right.
And that is beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
Working hard regardless of the outcome, teaching our kids that the outcome may not always be what we want, but we still work hard.
Yeah, so I had an example on this. My one daughter is playing volleyball, and she got on the A team, which is really awesome. But she was one of the last picks, so she doesn't start. So she doesn't play all the time, but she still plays all out. At every practice, she gives it all, and she does her very best all the time. She doesn't have a chip on her shoulder or anything because she's not a starter or whatever, but she gives her all the time. So, we praise her for that. Her coach praises her for that. He picked her for that reason. He could tell that she would work hard, and that is stuff that really matters. That's a life skill that it'll just take you places. If you're teachable and have a hardworking spirit, that's big stuff for being independent.
Yep, yeah, it sure is. And then just remember, it's not about flattering your kids and gushing, but show appreciation through words, which you already touched on. There's not enough positive, I think. There's a lot of, no, that's not right, or don't do that, or there's a lot of discouragement. I think that's often why kids pull back and shut down. So just making sure that you are appreciating them through your words and even touch, give them a hug, give them a kiss, good job. I know as they get older that gets a little more tricky because they touch me.
Yeah, right.
But you always want to be that voice of encouragement and positivity, and when they are doing something that's maybe not correct, it's the redirecting them in a positive way. It's not that constant like, oh, get out of the way, I'll make your bed, or or whatever.
Yeah, it takes a lot of patience. There was a dad who came. He helped us build our drama set last year, and his son. He's teaching his son how to do these things, and he obviously has great skill. He was a wonderful help, and he was so patient with his son, explaining, well, we got to do it like this because this, and we have to have it this way because of this. And he was just so patient. It doesn't mean it's fast, which speed is our trap these days. We want to do everything and get everything so fast, and that's really, learning takes time. And that gentle touch really, really makes the learning happen.
It does. And getting out of that mindset of I could do it faster or better. No, even though I could, I want them to learn to do it, and so that's going to take time. So,
Yes, it will, and create independence in your kids, because they'll learn this skill, and they'll learn it well if you take your time to teach it well, and that adds to their independence.
That's right. Well, we hope these were some helpful tips to you on raising children who are independent and building independence in your children. We will be back next week with, we're not sure about
I'm not
something.
exactly sure, but Christy will post it to let you know what's coming.
There you go. Okay, well, this has been Chat with Chap. See you next week. Bye.